Hello, everybody. Welcome to Irongeek Cast, number 193. You follow some serious dumbasses. How's everybody doing?
I'm good, but you follow some serious dumbasses.
A few, but I mean, other people follow more.
Yeah.
Is my background noise distracting, or are we good?
Just turn it off if you can.
Yeah. How am I coming through? Am I coming through clear?
You're coming
Clear and
through
loud?
clear.
Okay, good. I noticed my my microphone on my headset's starting to break. It's the plastic liner is starting to break, so I'm trying to minimize movement on it.
Excellent.
Yeah. I'm like, oh great. Well, this is the last Steel series I'm gonna buy.
Yeah, I've never bought one of those. I've had some decent mics in the past. Unless I spent like $200 on a mic, and then when it broke, I was like, "Fuck this! I'm just going with the webcam mics from now on."
Yeah, I've never actually had a really fancy microphone, and pretty much I've been doing this entire cast from whatever microphone's built into the Mac I have at the time.
You're rocking a Mac? I thought you were a computer guy. What is this shit?
I've just got used to the MacBook experience, and that's what I use.
Yeah, I got a coworker, and he's not too bright, and he goes, I bought a Mac because I want to learn how to hack, and I go, okay. And next thing he asked me is, how do I install Windows on it? I go, you bought a Mac and you want to install Windows on it? And he's
Wow,
like, yeah. All right,
You get used to OS 10 is fairly slick, but I mean the answer to that is some VM program and a lot of VMs. I use VMware Fusion.
I mean, if it's x86, you can run it bare metal, but they're not going to be very good experience.
Well, yeah, but if you're wearing bare metal, do something other than a Mac.
Exactly. If you're shelling out the money for a Mac, you might as well run Mac OS. It makes things easier for people who don't know how to do computer.
The only thing that's been going for me is Serial Pony made the choice to include a bunch of people on Follow Friday, and all of a sudden I got a couple of his friends calling me a Nazi, and the evidence for this is one of them doesn't give any evidence; he disagrees with the other one. That's the one that has the one who just agreed was the one that has the hammer and sickle in the profile. The other one, his evidence of Nazism is he listens to the cast apparently, and apparently we make comments about women, LGBT, the left, and immigrants. I don't remember us ever making comments.
I don't remember making any of those comments.
I don't remember. Well, immigrants, no, I don't think we made comments. LGBT, I don't think at all. The left, yeah, I make fun of the left a fair amount. And as far as women is concerned, yeah, I make fun of male feminists, but they deserve it.
And they're practically women anyway. So
I think they're thinking of anyone that's not from here as being an immigrant, and we have talk about foreign tech workers and stuff like that. At least I have a bit.
Okay.
I guess the LGBT might be because we talked about people who are quote trans who are just very obviously mentally deficient.
like
and-
Jessica Yaniv. Yeah.
What's that?
Like we were talking about Jessica Yaniv when she was having that whole thing with Blair White.
Oh yeah.
That chick who was suing the doctor because she made an appointment at a gynecologist and showed up and she had a penis and the doctor was like, I don't
remember gynecologist, but I remember going to some groomer who I think was a Sikh lady. And apparently the Sikhs have a religious rule that you're not supposed to touch the intimate parts of anybody but who you're married to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I imagine most, a lot of religions have something along those lines.
Well, you're not supposed to get intimate with someone else, but Sikhs have a little more literal cases of don't do this. It's like they have the 5 items they have to carry, things like that. Which there are some substitutions that can be made, but it's like instead of a turban, they may have a comb because it's keeping your hair neat.
There's no guy. His evidence that I collude with. I remember he said something like he colludes with his actual friends on I'm not collude wasn't the term he used, but my actual friend supposedly on Parler and BitChute, and he uses Parler and BitChute, me having accounts on those as a sign I'm a Nazi, and I'm like, those are platforms for all sorts of shit, right? They're just low censorship,
right? So good segue though. You mentioned Parler, and my girlfriend messaged me the other day, and she's like, I heard Parler got hacked, right? And I'm like, I look into it, and it's bullshit. So I tell her it's bullshit. She tells her friends it's bullshit, and they're mad at her now for telling them that it's bullshit. But essentially, somebody hacked a while ago hacked the WordPress site that they used to make announcements for it, and they're now passing that hack off as if they hacked all of Parler, and claiming they have user accounts and stuff, when the user accounts that they have in that screenshotted database leak is literally just WordPress stuff. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'd heard some rumors about some kind of security vulnerability, but no one gave details. So was that what they were talking about?
Yeah, it blew up because people really want that to be true, that Parler had a huge vulnerability and there were lots of accounts leaked and all this shit. But it's not true. But it doesn't stop people from sharing that it's true because they want it to be true. How it works nowadays. Things don't have to be true. You just need to start a rumor and people believe.
Sabotage and other strange dude. If you're listening, hi. You dumbass.
All right. So if you've been online today and you use AWS or you use services that are hosted in AWS and it's in the North American quadrant, you're probably realized that they had an outage today and it took down a large chunk of the internet. So that's the first thing we're going to be talking about today. And you're probably
sorry, I had to loop back there for just a second.
Loop back.
Yeah, I'm off work right now, so I'm not paying attention to too much tech stuff, but I did see a notification on the outages mailing list about that, and I was like, oh, that's going to be fun.
For sure. It's like AWS is just hosting so much crap. Such a large portion of the internet is hosted on AWS. So when it goes down, you have a lot of stuff that goes down.
And everything I've heard about AWS is it's kind of all held together with spit and baling wire. It's kind of like,
I don't know about that, but according to this article here on The Verge, about 3:15, there was a statement on their service health dashboard, and it said, they're seeing an improvement in the error rates for Kinesis and several affected services, but expect full recovery to take a few hours. And at 5:25. It said it would take a few more hours. Stuff is still down at 7 Eastern Standard. This affects a lot of companies that host their stuff on AWS, like 1Password and Spark, Flickr. That doesn't mean their whole infrastructure is going to be down. Just whatever they're hosting on AWS is going to be down. So they might redundantly host stuff somewhere else, so their shit might still work, but it's still kind of a pain in the ass.
Remember, kids, if you host your shit in the cloud, you're at their whims and mercies. So if they go down, you're fucked.
Cameron needs some love, so everybody said we love Cameron. Hi, Cameron.
Hi, Cameron.
Go fuck yourself, Cameron.
Cameron, thank you for sharing all those great ebooks with me. You're the man. All right. Next, we've got some ransomware news about Egregor Ransomware, I believe is how you pronounce it. I could be saying it wrong. They're attacking printers now, which I think is hilarious. So first they infect the computer, and then they just start spitting out ransom notes to any printer they can find on the network, which is kind of funny when you think about it. Because we've seen people on the internet just find like randomly open printers. I do that every morning. It's how I start my day.
Cameron's very flexible, apparently.
Yeah, man. So yeah, it's a new tactic, I guess. It's not what they normally do, but we've seen people in the past just find open printers on the internet and spew stuff to them, like vote PewDiePie is #1 on YouTube. So it's not a new tactic to just print to people's printers, but when you're on the LAN already, printing to the printer is kind of funny. It's like, imagine it's a corporation. They get on a corporate computer and now it's got access to like 50 printers, and now all 50 of those printers are just printing out ransom notes. It's kind of funny. All right. So we all know about MageCart, right? MageCart's been around for a while. It's essentially people taking over those shopping carts hosted by Magento software. It's kind of like the equivalent of hacking a WordPress site, but this is now, instead of WordPress, you're hacking a CMS that's used for processing payments. So this particular MageCart stuff, apparently their infrastructure is overlapping with another what we thought was another group, but apparently are just the same group. So the Gregor Skimmer variant is also apparently run by the same group of people who are doing the mage card stuff. So while they are two separate attacks for two different pieces of software, they are being run by the same group because they're using the same infrastructure. In other words, like the same command and control servers, the same background crap. So now that they know that, maybe they, I don't know, update your threat feeds. I don't know what you do with that information. But if you're like the cops, you can go maybe use that in a case against the bad guys. But other than that, it doesn't really help anybody. Other than updating your threat intel. Next, Manchester United. That's that soccer. I'm sorry, football club that's in the UK that's very, very popular. They were hacked. So they fell victim to a cyber attack on its systems. They claim they have extensive protocols and procedures in place for such an event and had rehearsed for this risk. There was no damage to our systems, and our data is protected, yada, yada, yada. But they were hacked. What the hackers got, we don't know. If it was ransomware, it's probably likely. It doesn't say, though. Talked a little bit about that Twitter hacker a while back that took over the accounts of a whole bunch of different sports teams and tweeted stuff, but that's not really related to this. They're just making a reference to it. Yeah, so nothing is out of bounds for hackers. We will hack all the things, and then we will drink all the booze, and then we will pass out. Ransomware gangs hunt for tax software to ratchet up pressure on victims. So this article is not the best, but from what I got when I read it, it's essentially the a lot of different ransomware groups, when they gain access to the internal systems, they do different things. They have like a little bit of a window before they actually infect stuff, and they look around, they see what's there, they see if it's worth actually infecting these computers, right? So they are now also going after tax software, because with that they can see how much money the corporation's making, so they can phrase their ransomware notes apparently to how much they're going to charge them. So also, if you've got their tax stuff, you can use it as leverage. So because the tax stuff is going to have like everybody's social security number and all that fun stuff. So it's a lot more valuable data-wise for you to have as a bad guy. Yep. Some tax software people are going cloud-based. A lot of companies still use the on-prem solutions, though. And of course, good security hygiene is important, especially for things that have all your employees' data on them. Thoughts, comments? Would you go after the tax records if you were a bad guy?
I mean, yeah, that or like, PI or any sensitive information such as trade secrets would be good to go for, because you can sell that shit in the black market for money.
Yeah. So, well, I use VMware. I never used Workspace ONE. I don't even actually know what the hell it is, but apparently it's got some vulnerabilities in it. And Workspace ONE, and Identity Manager Connect, these things have a 0 day. Well, it's not really a 0 day now because we know about it, so I call it a 1 day. But like, there's a workaround where you can reconfigure the software so you're not vulnerable to this, or you can download a patch that they made from over here if you want, fix your stuff. Regardless, it's if you have that exposed to the internet, you should probably secure it, because otherwise you're going to have a bad day. We've got the WAPD dropper malware is stealthily subscribing you to premium services. So this is phone-based malware on like Android phones. And once it's on there, it starts subscribing to a bunch of premium shit that costs money that they control. And it's able to bypass CAPTCHA because they figured out how to do that, So It's mostly apparently in Thailand and Malaysia, and they are subscribing people to premium services from legitimate telecommunication providers. It's pulling down C2 from another server. So it pulls down the stager, and then it pulls down the second half, and it downloads this premium dialer component. It's pretty clever. So it subscribes to a bunch of stuff, charges you money over and over again. So it's a rat that can actually get pretty expensive. Now we've got botnets. Go ahead.
I mean, that sounds like something back from the '90s. Remember that when your phone number would get, or your phone would get infected, and it would start like texting premium rate numbers or calling premium rate numbers to like call 900 numbers that like the scammer set up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
they still do that with PBX fraud.
We're fucking looping now. We're fucking looping.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do, and you go back to other ways of doing things. So. The next thing I was going to talk about is the Stantinko botnet, which is targeting Linux servers to hide behind proxies. Because you're never going to catch me because I'm behind 7 proxies. Intesner today shared with Hacker News that this Trojan masquerades as the HTTPD, a common program used on Linux servers, essentially the web server. And the new version of the malware is belonging to a threat actor with that name that I said before. It's essentially an adware botnet. It tricks people who are looking for pirated software into downloading malicious executables disguised as torrents to install rogue browser extensions that then perform ad injection and click fraud. So it's going to take over your browser with a plugin.
I've been there before. That was the thing back in Kazaa and LimeWire days.
Yeah, and it's like you go to search for something, and then it comes right back to you with .exe at the end. It's like, this must be my song. Let me download.
It's a 4 kilobyte MP3. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Look how quickly it downloaded. Wow. And you go run it, and then your computer just explodes. Yeah. So yeah, this is we're going in circles, like you said. InfoSec is like that. What's old is new again. When it just gets to a point where it's like, oh, that attack worked pretty well 10 years ago. Let's try that again and just update it for today. Next, if you use cPanel, right, you know that you can turn on 2-factor authentication so that if somebody gets your password, they still can't get in, because people always get your password. They just go to like some other site where you've used the same email address, and they try that password you use there because you've reused the same password everywhere because you're a dumbass. So now they don't even need the 2-factor because there's the second factor. They don't need that code because they can bypass it. Now there's a fix out for this, obviously. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't see an article about it. But it's going to probably take a while for all the sites to go around and apply that fix to all their cPanel instances everywhere. And if they're anything like my cheap hosting provider, they never update shit anyway. So take a while. So go hack my website. It'll be fun. Yeah. So a cPanel spokesperson was not available for comment about this, obviously, because they don't know what the hell's going on. But yeah, there's POC. You can go do it if you want. Go bypass 2-factor. Next, we've got Baltimore schools are closed because they got ransomware. If I were a kid going to school nowadays and I had access to one of those computers, I would just go to like, I don't know, one of those sites that do that. Malware, I think it was one of them, or even just VirusTotal. I just like pull down a sample of some ransomware to the school computer, just infect everything, and then get off from school for a week if I were still in school. That's what I would do.
So are they actually even having school in person, or are they doing it remote right now?
So that's a good question. I'll find out for you in a second.
apparently some of the teachers unions, my understanding, want to keep doing the remote because it's easier.
Yeah.
As my colleague Aaron Clary would say, teachers. I can't say it like he does. He has a disdain for teachers.
So the article actually doesn't say whether or not the kids are in the school or not when this ransomware attack hit, but it made it so school could not proceed doing the teaching. It doesn't say whether it's in person or remote, but I assume it's probably remote since most places are remote now. But yeah, it's like the new normal, man. It's really weird. Everybody's going to school from their house. Next, we got Windows 7. You know, Microsoft's like, you know what? You better update your Windows 7 and Server 2008 to the newer versions. And if you don't, we're not giving you any support whatsoever, no matter what. And then something like this happens, and they're like, you know what, guys? We're gonna give you free patch, because we don't want you to get hit with this if you're still running it, which makes very little sense to me. It's their whole business model is getting people to upgrade to the newest version. But yeah, so this is that DNS thing. All right, yeah, it's the DNS bug that was from like 2 weeks ago in the show notes. So there's a free micro patch available that you can go download it and install it from Microsoft. Yeah. Cool. That's nice that they're still putting out patches for Windows 7. That way no one's ever going to get off Windows 7. So this is the workspace one I covered before. I'm just going to ignore that. I put it in there twice by accident. Next, we've got how ransomware defense is evolving with ransomware. This should be interesting if it ever loads. All right. So the article starts off talking about that time in Germany when ransomware caused somebody to die because the ambulance had to be rerouted to another hospital because the hospital was closed down due to ransomware. Goes on, talks about how defense is struggling, ransomware groups are teaming up with other threat actors, and even commodity malware is providing access to secondary threat actor operating ransomware as a service. So we already knew that, right? Like if you're a bad guy, you can go on not even the dark web, but you can go to somewhat shady sites and you can buy access to the same ransomware software that the real bad guys use, and then you can infect somebody and set up your own command and control server, and you can, it's ransomware as a service essentially. Anybody, they don't even have to be really technical. They want to make money and they have no ethics. They can go online and they can sign up and they can start infecting people. And yeah, so ransomware as a service is a thing, and they're talking a little bit about that in here, how that's becoming more prevalent, and the need for defenders to kind of step up their game because the people on the offense are stepping up their game, so defense needs to step up their game. And it's like an ever-evolving cat and mouse game where, you know, they come up with a new technique to infect systems, and then the defenders need to find a new way to make sure that they can't use it, or at least be able to detect it when it happens. All right. So the future of ransomware defense will no longer simply be scanning for vulnerable endpoints and adding ransomware detection to your endpoint protection, but a more thorough searching through your networks to detect anomalies. So in other words, NIDS. You need NIDS. HIDS is great, but you also need NIDS. Right.
Yeah, I've never had to personally deal with a ransomware outbreak.
You haven't?
Well, no, maybe that's because of the last endpoint job I had where I was like messing with endpoint clients regularly was back in 2012, but it just haven't had an outbreak any place where I'm in charge of actually cleaning it up.
Yeah, it's not fun when you're the one in charge, but if you're if you're like some guy, you go to work one day and all the computers are locked because ransomware on the network, right? And you get to go home, but you get paid. It's not such a bad day for you.
Well,
Smart doorbells are a bad idea. So people keep buying the smart doorbells. They're really, really cheap online. You get the ones from Amazon. They're like next to nothing. They practically give them away on Black Friday. So the Nest ones, look, if you're going to put cameras in and around your house, you should definitely make sure those things are secure and that not anybody on the internet can go and access them, because we've got a lot of times where people will just find your username and password on like a site that you reuse your username and password, and then they use it and they get into your camera. And what if you got those cameras in your bedroom and you're like romancing your wife, right?
yeah.
Now they got video of that, and now they're going to be like, hey, you're going to give us money or we're going to put this on us.
Why would I have a doorbell camera in my bedroom?
I'm saying IoT cameras in general, not just doorbell cameras, but
Yeah, they have those inside your house as well for your whole security system. It's why I've looked at like SimpliSafe and such, but it's all IoT, and I'm like, hell no.
Yeah, I would rather have it be a local network thing than share it with everybody. But so, right, not only is it that like these these shitty Chinese IoT devices are insecure, but they also leak your Wi-Fi password to anybody who's nearby. Like some of them will throw up their own AP, right? And then they connect on a secondary Wi-Fi to your network, but they still keep their AP open. And anybody can just log in to the stupid device and go to web UI and then go to where your Wi-Fi password is stored. And now they can see your Wi-Fi password, and then they can just log into your Wi-Fi. It's like really stupid. Printers used to pull this stupid shit too. But a lot of the printers, where if you had the printer dual homed, where you had like the Wi-Fi access point, but you had it plugged in by network, the access point would just be up all the time, and anybody could connect to it, and then they could get into your network. It's not the smartest. Well, a lot of these devices are really just not designed for security. They're designed to be as cheap as possible, so they can manufacture as many of them as possible and sell as many as possible. IoT doorbells are a big thing. Even Mitnick got in on the whole IoT doorbell thing. He was like, he did one of his demonstrations and like in front of a whole group of people, and he was like, he hacked somebody's IoT doorbell and showed them that, like, hey, I can see your house. It's like, so okay, good, Kevin. Like IoT doorbells, yeah, they're not secure, so don't get them unless you really, really have to. Next, so in the UK, this company actually it was French, so not the UK, but essentially a company got hacked, right? And adding up the outages and the ransomware cleanup, Ryuk attack will cost them 50 million euros to fix. That's a lot of money to fix a ransomware attack that you could have avoided if you'd put some more elementary procedures in place, as far as like screening what people open attachment wise, and random shit you can do security wise to make things better. Spend money on that rather than spending $50 million or euros to fix your shit later. It makes more sense to invest in like user education and training, teach people not to open that Amazon free $500 gift card that came to your work email. It's not a hard thing to do, but nobody does it. Yeah, I covered this one earlier too. All right, so leave that one. So we are done with the first part of the show notes, right? All the real info-stacky stuff. Now we're pretty much just going to go to general science, tech news, and security stuff that I didn't think was good enough to be in the first half of the notes. So first thing is a privacy issue, right? So if you're running Amazon devices like the Amazon Echo, or the I don't know what the hell they have. They have a bunch of crap out there. But essentially, these things are now throwing up their own little network that they don't tell you about, and you need to opt out of, because otherwise there is a good chance that these devices they have their own little Amazon sidewalk network going on. It was very quietly announced late last year. In a nutshell, it's a secondary shared network for connected Amazon devices. It uses Echo and Ring devices as a bridge to extend connectivity to even longer distances. So say your internet goes down and thus renders your outdoor Ring security camera useless. Not an issue with Sidewalk. It can just tap into your neighbor's Echo. No security issue there. Just let's use your neighbor's network without any permission. I'm sure that no security researcher will be able to figure out a way to just connect to any device. It's like, look, if it can do it under normal operating procedure, like your network goes down, your neighbor's got a network that's up, and it's also on the Amazon Sidewalk thing. And now you can just hop to your network's Amazon Sidewalk from that device. How hard is it going to be for a security researcher to just figure out how to do the same thing by like monitoring the packet capture of what's going on over the air and then reverse engineering how it's doing it? Right now it's connected to your neighbors or anybody who's got an Amazon device on their network. Just like now your network is mine. I can just
they're basically making their own mesh network that I'm assuming you can't opt out of.
You can opt out, right? But you have to go through a couple of hoops to do so. So, yeah. So it includes Amazon branded stuff like Amazon Echo, as well as devices like their Ring cameras. So all of these things are essentially doing a giant mesh network, right? Now you remember the Mirai botnet malware that's going around that's just hacking IoT stuff? Imagine it somehow figures out a way to get into one of your Amazon devices, right? And now it can just spread to every Amazon device that's connected, and even ones that are now not connected, because it can just hop over the Wi-Fi to other people's Wi-Fi and just spread infinity. That's like a nightmare scenario that probably wouldn't really happen. But I mean, come on, it could. It'd be freaking terrifying. It's like every Amazon device goes down because somebody does like a Sammy cam car on it, creates a freaking worm and just destroys everything.
When did Sammy make that MySpace worm? What year was that?
98.
Wait, 98? No, it had been later than that.
All right. No, Google it.
98, because MySpace really wasn't a thing in 98, was it? Pretty sure we're
going to Google it, and we're going to see. What year was it?
I'm going to guess
2005.
Sorry, 2008.
2008? That was 2005.
Oh shit, okay, I put too late.
2005. All right. Regardless, Sammy's still cool. He still puts out really quality shit. But, yeah. Whenever I think of a worm now, I think of him, though. Instead of the whole MySpace worm. It's almost like a synonym for worm at this point, is the Camcar network. Worm. All right. So anyway, you should opt out of Amazon Sidewalk if you're running an Amazon device and you care about your privacy. But if you're running an Amazon device, you probably don't care about your privacy. But who am I to talk? I use Google devices, so,
Google Play Meet Spin.
God damn it, Adrian. Stop it.
Playing Moded. Meet Spin 3 on YouTube Music.
That was mine.
Good. You deserve that.
The mic's off.
So Home Depot has agreed to a $17.5 million settlement for the 2014 data breach when their POS systems were infected with malware and it skimmed a whole bunch of credit cards off people who were going to shop there. Same shit happened to Target through a vendor network, right? And they also had to pay some money for that. So with Target, it was really cool because it was the network being used for their HVAC system. And hacker got into that. And then they jumped to the corporate network. And then they installed malware on the registers. So that was a little different, but still pretty cool. That was just one location with Target, too. That wasn't like their whole freaking organization, but it was still a big deal.
But it cost them $14 million.
Right. It cost them a lot of money. Same thing with Home Depot. All right. Box 86 is something I found that's pretty damn cool. So if you're running a Raspberry Pi or any other ARM32 platform, right, and you want to run some x86 code, you can kind of somewhat do that. Why do I say kind of somewhat? Because it's kind of like the same thing with Wine. Like you can run some Windows software on Linux, but not a lot. Well, it's the same. It's like some stuff works. It's a user space x86 emulator. It works on ARM. And a lot of games, x86 games require OpenGL, right? So they've got GLEFs, GL4ES going. It'll work on other single board computers as well that run like that Rockchip RK3399. That's like the cheaper Raspberry Pi clones run that. But you can run a bunch of Linux games, lightweight Windows games, and some Linux games like World of Goo, Faster Than Light. They've got a whole YouTube channel with the games that they got working on it, which is pretty neat when you ask me. Anytime you can get stuff working on a Raspberry Pi that would normally have to work on a regular computer is pretty damn cool. So that's that. And the next thing is also a Raspberry Pi thing is Vulkan. If you've played games lately, you probably know what Vulkan is. It's like the newer DirectX thingy. Well, now Raspberry Pi is going to be Vulkan. It's got a Vulkan driver, so yeah, you can run Vulkan stuff on a Raspberry Pi. It's not going to run very well, but it'll run. So that's kind of cool. They are compliant with Vulkan 1.0, and they're going to continue working on it.
Yeah, I have a bunch of Raspberry Pis laying around that I'm not actually doing anything with. I usually bought like one or two every generation, and I think I'm up to date, but I'm not sure because they haven't put out a new one in a couple of years. So have they?
I think last year was the 4, and now they've got the compute module, and they've also got this one that's 400. It's just like a keyboard with a Raspberry Pi in it, which is kind of cool. It's not very useful, but it's kind of cool to have a keyboard that's got a Pi in it. The compute module is pretty badass, though. You can do all sorts of cool shit with a compute module. You can actually hook up like regular hard drives to it and do all sorts of really wicked stuff if you want to really get down on the hardware level. I saw somebody actually pop a freaking GeForce card into one of those somehow with like multiple adapters. That was cool. It was like, I don't know what the hell you do with it, but it's cool that you could do it. It's like got a 2x slot, so not the fastest. Next, we've got Reddit post that I saw, which I thought was cool, about the TP-Link have updated their smart plugs, right? So if you run like a Google Home or something and you have smart plugs, you can turn your stuff on and off. They updated their crap and they took away the local API. So now they're only cloud-based. So if you had your thing on your network and it went to go update, pull down the latest firmware, guess what? The whole API where you could just talk to it from your network is gone. Now you got to go out and then come back in to turn your light out, which like I have to do that with my cheap smart bulbs, which I know are definitely a security risk because they go out to China and then they come back and then my lights turn on or off. So if I go like, hey, Google, turn lights blue, and my lights are now blue, but it went all the way out to China and came back to do that. It was not all local. Okay, Google, turn lights white. Yay. Anyway, that's the thing. So there's no local API anymore. I don't know why they would do that. It's just a dick thing to do, but and now everyone who watches the cast sees my Reddit username, so they can harass me there. All right, and we've got Ripple. XRP surges 70% as the Bitcoin craze sends investors flocking to smaller cryptocurrencies, which is exactly what I did this week. So my wallet went last week from like $1,500 thereabouts to this week to about $2,200 without me touching it or doing crap. And I was like, holy shit. Because I got like a wallet. I call it a wallet, but it's not really a wallet. It's several wallets. It's like, so I looked at all my stuff and I'm like, wow, my stuff went up. So then I just took it all and I diversified the crap out of it. So the stuff that recently went up, I just took it and put in all smaller cryptocurrencies. So now I've got less likely of it going all down at once, but still could. But it's cool. So price of XRP went up 70%. That's a lot. So that's Ripple. So another Bitcoin competitor. Bitcoin also went up a little. So did Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. A lot of things went up this week. And some of it came back down. Not all of it. The Tesla Model X got hacked with a relay attack. Now, if you were at the car hacking village last year, not this last year, but like the year before that one, it was actually a thing at DEF CON. They did a demonstration of the relay attack with this kind of shit, but it wasn't quite this attack. That one was essentially you would jam the signal when the person would initially hit it, right? And then you'd let up, and then you just capture, and the person would hit it again, and then you essentially have a captured handshake that's one before the one they've now used. So now when they leave the car, you can then do the replay that'll only work once, but it will unlock the car or start the engine or do both. Essentially, you caught their initial signal and then you jammed it and then replayed it after they went again, which was kind of cool. But it's a different attack. So, and Tesla, of course, is pushing a patch already. But the fact that it worked is still pretty cool. Tesla's neat in that they do the pwn to own, where you can, like, if you can prove it, you can hack it, and it's a real bad vulnerability, they'll actually give you one. So, anyway, this technique takes advantage of a collection of security issues discovered in the Model X's keyless entry system that together add up to a method of full unlock, start, and seal a vehicle. So he chained together multiple vulnerabilities. Some of them were major, some of them were minor. He put them together and he made a feasible attack that worked. So the Model X fobs receive over-the-air firmware updates by Bluetooth by wirelessly connecting to the computer inside the Model X without confirming that the new firmware has an unforgeable cryptographic signature by Tesla. Anyway. So once you're inside, you've got the Tesla, it's on, and it's powered up, and you don't need a key. So take it, and go sell it, bring it to a chop shop. I don't know. Whatever.
How much of a market is there at chop shops for a Tesla?
I don't think a chop shop would want a Tesla because it's got so much.
Yeah, there's so many ways to do that damn thing. There's so much electronics in there, you can't really like change it out without killing it.
I mean, you could part it, but I don't think they even want it at their location long enough to get parted, because then it's like it's got GPS and it says it was there. So, and
everything's probably serialized too, so it would be hard to you would have to sell it to a third party who is only interested in buying black market shit, which for a Tesla isn't probably a big market.
Especially since they lock everything down software wise, like even fast charge. If you don't have an active service contract with them, they turn fast charge off, and then you have to spend like 12 hours to charge your car every time you want to do it. So it's not. I watched the whole documentary about this guy who would rebuild broken Teslas by like going to different places that had them and buying like piece by piece and putting the whole thing together. And the dude was like one of the few guys in the world who actually knows how to build an actual Tesla from parts. And they would not activate anything. Like they would not, even if he wanted to pay for it, they wouldn't let him because the car was deemed as like a totaled car. So they would not let him turn on any of the features. For a while, they were selling these packs where you could reprogram part of the Tesla and get it to enable certain features, but those don't work anymore. They fixed that. So still cool. Anyway, this dude they found some value to his hack. They were informed back in August. They pushed a software update this week. He has a demonstration of his hack. We're not going to watch it. Well, maybe we'll watch it. How long is it? It's 3 minutes. We can watch it.
All right. That wouldn't be an expensive pony.
Yeah, it's like, hey kids, we're just gonna hang out at this bench for no reason. No, that's not suspicious at all. Couldn't just use a laptop. You need to carry around that retarded Raspberry Pi thing. He just hacked the dude's key fob. That's pretty neat. You can at least put that fucking thing in a backpack. You know how he's a hacker? He's wearing a hoodie. He certainly got that CAN bus out pretty quick.
Yeah, my fit is kind of hard to reach. But more like hard to get a good connection because it floats.
I remember that that skull. That was the DEF CON badge one year.
Yeah, I think I may have that one.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. I saw it on Netflix. It was a movie about a guy who was kind of like this. I wouldn't say black ops, but he did like work for the CIA. And like the very opening, he actually uses like his tablet to hack a car, and he actually like infiltrates it through the like the onboard navigation, like the infotainment system, and like hits the CAN bus. Actually, like you can see some of the text. It's like it actually looks somewhat believable, but it's like. Wow, okay, really, they're going that direction. All right.
At least they made some effort to make it look believable.
Yeah.
Who here watches The Mandalorian?
I do. I just caught up with it today.
Excellent. It's a very good show. So if you watch The Mandalorian, you're probably familiar with the drama with this chick right here. She posted some stuff on Twitter, and Twitter went after her because it was like I think it was pro-Trump, if I remember correctly, but I'm not sure. Whatever it was stuff they didn't like, and they want Disney to fire her. Like they were protesting the show. They're like, Disney has to get rid of her because she's not left. So she's
people. That's this and another story you got a little bit later in the show notes. I just wish people would stop whining and shut the fuck up. We got people out there now who says, I'm being abused. I'm abused. No, someone disagreed with you on Twitter and says they don't want to work with you. That's not being abused, you dumbass. Your helicopter parents fucked you up.
Yep. So this dude, Pedro, he's the guy who plays the Mandalorian. He is like, you know what, leave her alone. She's doing okay. So that's the whole point of the article here. It's like he's standing up for her, and Twitter's going after her, and they're
He's
like,
kind of a lefty, if I understand right.
I don't know, probably. So and he's like, stand with Gina Carano. Yep, that's the gist of the whole freaking thing. Is like people are calling for her head because they don't like her Twitter posts. So I guess if you're famous, you should just not post on Twitter at all, and save yourself some drama. Next thing we've got is a Pennsylvania judge halts election certification amid mail-in vote. So this article is
Pennsylvania and
no.
Nevada
You
have
shut up.
joined
I'm
the list
talking.
of states officially
No.
certifying
Quiet.
their
All right. So it's essentially an injunction blocking any further certification of election results in the state pending a hearing that will be Friday. So the state wanted to essentially say these election results are certified and it's all good. Biden wins. You know, we've counted a couple times. It's all good. This judge is like, nope, not done yet. And he put an injunction. It's not like he was just sitting there and he did it on his own. It's like Trump's people, the lawyers contacted him and they went to court and they got an injunction, but he agreed with it. So, yep. Pennsylvania officials swiftly filed a notice of appeal with the Supreme Court asking for a review whether McCullough erred in granting an injunction relief despite Kelly and the others showing a failure to satisfy any of the prerequisites that warranted injunction relief. I don't understand all this technical legal jargon shit, but I think the gist of it is we got to wait till Friday to see if Biden officially won Pennsylvania certified, even though I think he's pretty far up there in the vote count. So I'm pretty sure he won it, but we'll see Friday what's going on there. Next is pretty cool. You can buy a Rick and Morty butter bot now. I would totally buy a Rick and Morty butter bot.
I haven't watched enough of the show. What does it do? Just serve butter on the table?
Yeah, it's that meme where Rick builds a robot and it goes, "What's my purpose?" and you pass butter, and it goes, "Oh my god." It's basically a metaphor for the futility of existence kind of shit.
Oh my god. It's a very short part of the episode, but it's very popular amongst people. So you can now buy a butter robot. The next thing we have is about Jordan Peterson's new book. So if you don't know who Jordan Peterson is, he's a Canadian psychology professor who has written a bunch of, I think he's written 3 books so far. And this is his latest book. His most recent book before this was 10 Rules or some shit like that to life. There's actually like 10 different things you can do if you want to be happier. People don't like him because he refuses to use the gender pronouns.
That's not quite true. He really gender pronoun. He just doesn't want to be forced by the government to do it. He also doesn't like made-up pronouns like Z and Z. Okay.
Fair enough. So people say he's transphobic because he doesn't want to use the pronouns that the government say you have to use for people who say that that's their pronoun. Is that a better way of saying it? I don't know.
That would be, yeah.
All right. So he's had a really rough year. I believe he's been in a clinic trying to detox from a medication he was prescribed legally but had a very adverse side effect. Benzodiazepine addiction. So essentially, it was not good time for him. His daughter was like managing his stuff for a while.
My understanding of the situation was his wife had a cancer thing going on, and he was taking some anti-anxiety stuff to deal with it, and he got hooked on it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that can happen.
And my understanding, I can't remember what the particular drug was, but my understanding, it's very common to develop a dependency on it.
It was a benzo. That was the whole thing. Benzos are very addictive. So like he had to go to some clinic, and there wasn't any place he could go here for some reason. He went to like I think somewhere in Russia or somewhere, if I remember the story. I don't know, but he's getting better, and he put out a new book. It's like a sequel to his last book, 12 More Rules for Life.
I got his last book, an audiobook, but I couldn't get through it all. No slight on him, but people who whine about his book and so forth, it's such milquetoast, self-help advice stuff. Getting offended by it just seems fucking stupid. But I think they're offended by other things, and they're just bringing it out. They're just taking it out in his book.
Well, there's the whole hierarchy of needs thing that he stouts that a lot of people don't agree with. That it's like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. He tries to apply that same context to everything. Like there's hierarchies everywhere, and people don't necessarily agree with that whole thing.
So sorry, folks. Some people are better at some things than other people.
Yeah, it's like anyway. So the story here is that a bunch of people from the company that publishes his book went and cried to the parent company saying that he shouldn't get published because they don't like him because he's a hateful person, and they shouldn't be doing business with him, and it would negatively affect their non-binary friend and all this shit. So look, I don't know, but look, that's the whole thing. It's like they tried to get his book canceled before it came out, and it didn't happen because a lot of people buy his books. So yeah, that's the gist of it. A lot of people buy those books and they make them money, which is what pays your salary. So and last in this section is Scotland is the first country to make period products free by law. So if I lived in Scotland, I would just go get a whole bunch of period products and then ship them off on Amazon to other countries and make money.
Well, I think Laura on a hot dish, some other people on Twitter were talking about they're going to be used for various arts and crafts and various other purposes that they weren't originally intended for. But why exactly is this free? I mean, other hygiene products are not necessarily free. Your soap's not free. Your toilet paper's not free. Your shaving cream's not free. I saw this one stupid protest. It was something about tampons cost, make men buy razors, and I'm thinking, wait, men do buy razors.
Well, there is something to be said about the health hazard of menstrual blood because it is bodily waste, so it is technically a biohazard. I mean, yeah, you can make the same argument as someone who is unwashed, but it takes quite a while to get to that point where you are a significant biohazard to someone else. Basically, that's why, in any medical waste, including actual waste or body products, have to be cared for very carefully in terms of disposal. You can't just toss it in the trash. You have to, put special bags and burn it. So that's why there's a little more push for that, because it's a bit more of a sanitary thing.
Right.
And here's the theme song. I don't know. I have to fast forward to the lyrics to actually make it sense. You recognize the song?
It's Pearl Jam. I don't know which Pearl Jam song it is. That's Pearl Jam.
Even Flow.
Well, considering the whole band's name is like Pearl Jam. Yeah. Anyway, so that's our cast. We don't have anything else. I'm gonna go hang out with my friend Santo now. Say, hey, Santo, the whole internet sees you.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Hi, internet.
How's it going?
He's good.
Yeah, I need to get sleep, so I got to go visit my brother in the morning for our improvised Thanksgiving dinner or lunch since everybody's dead. So,
That was fun, guys. I enjoyed watching that.
Thanks. Hopefully the people who watched it online liked it too. All right. Later, guys.
Later, guys.
Bye.
Later.